When you were talking about Gen Z being like the biggest podcast listening audience, I was sitting here with bated breath, hoping that you would say, yeah, about 6 to 7 out of 10 podcast listeners are Gen Z.
No. I think the number is higher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Headliner Podcast. We're your hosts, Nicholas and Alyssa, and we're here to keep you in the loop on all of the things that you can do to promote your podcast. So Alyssa, what are we talking about today?
Well, it's actually the end of the year, which is kind of crazy to say. This is December. So we're at least I'm kind of looking into next year, like doing my planning and everything. So with that, I'm naturally looking, hey, what are we going to do with the podcast next year? So I think today we should talk about our top predictions and kind of like the trends that we are seeing emerging for 2026, and then kind of what to do to help prepare your podcast for 2026.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. While everyone else is doing their Spotify Wrapped or whatever you want to call it, we're looking ahead because podcasting is the future. Boom, soundbite. Okay, moving on. Why don't you get us started while I just psychically recover from doing that?
Okay, so we're going to just jump right into kind of the top trends that we're seeing are emerging for 2026. I think no surprise to anybody, video is going to be at the top of that list. We kind of did a version of this same show last year, and I think video was the top trend we saw last year as well. So we're still seeing that trend. It's still trending.
It's still trending upwards.
As trends trend. But we're seeing more podcasters continue to make that jump to video and then stick with it. So it's not like people are testing it out and they're like, oh, that didn't do anything, and they're scaling back. People are sticking with it this year, and people are just increasing their efforts into video. It'd be hard to talk about video without talking about the brands and the platforms that podcasters know and love that are increasing their investment in video and trying to help better support podcasters with video. I'm not talking about Headliner in this regard. Of course we are, but I'm mentioning
we're not talking about Headliner yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm more talking about like Spotify and YouTube. So we saw Spotify, they came out with the clips last year, I think the end of last year.
Something like that, yeah.
That feels right. So they have the clips and they're continuing to kind of push those efforts. So I know before this call, we were talking about Spotify Wrapped a little bit. Like I personally saw like some video clips in there. It's more on kind of your discovery feed. So they're increasing their efforts in promoting video on Spotify for discovery. And then, of course, we see YouTube increasing those efforts, announcing all sorts of stuff specifically for podcasting. And I mean, video creators, of course, it's YouTube, but more specifically for podcasting in 2026.
I want to flag something. Like you kind of put a qualifier in there where you're like, they're doing stuff for video and podcasting. And I feel like the big takeaway from 2025 is that like, video and podcasting is just kind of meeting in the middle now. It is kind of hard. There are some podcasts out there that feel more like fully produced video. And there are fully produced videos that feel like podcasts. So we're seeing that line blur a little bit. So a lot of the tools on YouTube and Spotify for native video just apply to podcasters and vice versa now.
Yeah. I mean, and especially there's been kind of that debate in podcasting, like, is this really a podcast? So it's interesting, like those lines are continuing to be blurred a little bit more, and it's kind of more up to the listener and the audience to see, okay, like what determines a podcast more and more.
Also, it's good for the creators because it does mean that there is a lower threshold to getting into video now. If you've thought about it in the past, it is literally easier than ever to make that transition. There are a bunch of tools that help you make that transition. I can't really like shoehorn the word Eddie into a sentence, but like also we have a tool called Eddie in case anyone missed the easy plug there. But yeah, and I think, one other thing while we're talking about that like transition is you and I have kind of talked about this in the past. It's easier than ever also from like a production point of view, not just like post-production, but like actually recording and shooting it. There is something to be said about just getting it done reliably, quickly, and good enough, that's like the big thing I say all the time is good enough is great. I've always been under the belief that like the average podcast listener doesn't need your video to be like this elaborately shot and lit production. And that kind of works into the like the favor of creators these days who want to make the switch.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to look like more like Gen Z audiences. I think now they're the top consumers of podcasters, or at least they're the top growing in terms of who's listening to podcasts.
Yeah,
But they really don't care like about the video quality as long as the content quality is there. Like we're seeing like simple behind the scenes or just like very like what might be considered like an unpolished or like a more authentic like video clip or something. Those typically perform better than these like really elaborate like high production value ones. So
sure.
yeah, definitely give yourself some grace, especially if you're just like, oh, I need to do it. Just do it. Just turn on a camera and just start doing your little podcast thing. And it's honestly, like you said, it's good enough. And that's great.
Yeah, I mean, and you can lean in on that. It does kind of make you just feel more approachable and like your listener can have a more like close personal relationship with you when you are recording in your home office or your even like your bedroom or something. You know what I mean? Depending on the brand, you can tweak that and you can make it feel real and authentic and people will respond to that. I think we get that like there's a big DIY component to podcasting. So you may as well lean into it, save yourself some stress, and then also just get the thing done, like make the podcast.
Yeah. So with that too, with video trending, we're also seeing more off app discovery happening for podcasts. So, kind of like in the earlier days of podcasting, discovery was happening primarily in apps. So, like on those charts, podcasts, that's how people were finding them. And then they were telling their friends. So, word of mouth and in app discovery was kind of king. But we're seeing more and more off app discoveries happening. So, we're seeing more creators and podcasters investing in growth channels outside of those listening apps. So, it really helps you kind of build that engagement and the community around your show. So that's kind of, we're seeing largely why that maybe has taken off so much and has gotten so popular. YouTube's still the number one platform for podcast discovery out there. I think we said in an earlier episode too, YouTube release, they had like achieved over like 1 billion listens or something crazy
Something
on
like that.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It was a crazy, I think billion, because I was like, that's crazy they had accomplished that as fast as they did. That, and then we also did our own study last year, which, reminder for me to probably update this next year and try it again. We saw social media is actually one of the top platforms for podcast discovery. We saw just amongst like general listeners, we did like, I think 300 people were surveyed just kind of at random, or excuse me, podcast listeners were surveyed at random. And 71% of them said that, hey, yeah, I've discovered a podcast off of social media. So we keep seeing kind of that funnel of just top awareness being kind of driven off app with
Mhm.
social media and YouTube primarily. Probably through video, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm just going to speak from my own experience. Most of the podcasts I listen to at this point are things I found on social media. It's just understanding that social media websites have these hyper powerful algorithms that know a lot about you and your preferences and all that, and understanding that they will serve stuff to you that you probably like and just understanding that you can take advantage of that with your podcast. Put clips out there, let the algorithm look at it, do what you can to strengthen that ability for the algorithm to understand your content, and then watch your audience grow because it's just being delivered to them for you as opposed to you going out and having to do promo trades or roll the dice, so to speak, and just hope someone somewhere listens to it. And I'm pretty sure this is the part where we talk about how to optimize your content.
Well, I had one more thing to say about
Okay.
discovery off app before we get into that. But yes, optimize content for sure. But more on that later. So we're also seeing this trend with off app discovery and actually paid promotion of podcasts. I mean, we have our own tool. It's called Podcast Promo. It helps to place podcast clips as as web display ads across the web. So if you're like reading an article about my dog sitting on my foot. So if you're reading an article about dogs and then you have a podcast about dogs, you can find kind of that link of, hey, somebody that's reading this article might be interested in this podcast, right? So you can actually place like clips of your podcast effectively on that web page to try and target ears. And we're seeing more people, especially as competition's increasing. Discovery is getting a little bit harder, especially kind of giving people that direct path to a listen. More people are investing in kind of that paid promotion aspect of it. So I would expect to see that kind of increase. I mean, I don't really think that the competition for podcasting is getting less. I think it's probably going to increase, especially we'll
Yeah.
see that spike in the new year. More shows are probably going to come out, or more people are just going to start doing their shows again. So, yeah, paid promotion definitely is going to be kind of one of those top things for discovery off app. And then, paid social, that is also another thing that we're seeing. You mentioned the clips and the algorithm. You can kind of pay to boost your content with there. Granted, it can be a little bit harder just because there's not necessarily that direct path to listenership. There's a couple of clicks in between. But for
Yeah.
just driving just general awareness and getting people excited about a show, building that community, building that engagement, it's one of those things that we're just seeing more people are doing.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now can we talk about the super fun optimization stuff? Can you tell I'm a nerd? I'm like, "Yeah, let's optimize stuff, guys."
Get, take it away. You go for it.
Okay. Yeah, this is what I live and die for, and I'll take that up in therapy on my own time. But okay, so when it comes to posting on social media, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do with your existing content that'll make your life a little bit easier. So the first thing you can do is just go through your metadata and make sure to actually add chapters to your episodes if you have the time codes handy for that. Go in and add description rich information there so that, when that gets indexed by your Googles or your Bings, that information will actually be there. It'll get indexed. And when people are searching for stuff related to your podcast, you have a greater ability to appear there. And then on the other side of things, when you're sharing those clips on social media, be sure to add captions to them, you know? Be sure to do the same thing. Add those descriptions that are just very information rich so that once again, when those algorithms parse your content, because they can't listen to your clip necessarily, they'll actually know what it's about. Oh, the captions here are talking about the 6'7" meme that nobody seems to understand if they're over the age of 20. Cool. Let's push this video to like a bunch of people over 20 so that they can get it or whatever. That's just a hyper specific example we'll live with.
It's a too real example, is what it
Yeah.
is.
Oh, I don't get it. When you were talking about Gen Z being like the biggest podcast listening audience, I was sitting here with bated breath, hoping that you would say, yeah, about 6 to 7 out of 10 podcast listeners are Gen Z.
No. I think the number's higher, but
Oh,
that would have
no.
been.
The one time 6, 7 is acceptable. Okay. Anyway, it's also just like looking into your growth opportunities with your content. It's taking a look at what other people in your space are doing and trying to emulate that a little bit, or even just reorganizing your content so that it's better positioned to compete against other people in the space. This could be as simple as using a hook before you start your episodes, or even your social clips or something like that, right? It's also just creating your episodes with a bit more intentionality and going, I really want to capture this specific audience with my show this year. So I'm going to plan a couple of episodes that are tailor made for them. I'm going to lead with an SEO aggressive title, and I'm going to structure my episode around that because then you're just doing what you can to make the algorithm work for you as opposed to making your content work for the algorithm. Other thing, captions. When you're posting on social media, put those captions in there. And I'm sure we have a stat somewhere about that.
I feel like I didn't write down the stat, but I feel like I've said it enough that I confidently can remember this number, and
Sure.
I'm putting my foot down. I'm saying it. And if it's
Okay.
wrong, I'm sorry. I think it's 84% or 84, 85. So we're going to say 84.5
Mhm.
percent of social videos are actually consumed on mute. So having captions not only helps, people understand what the heck is going on, it helps all sorts of things understand what the heck is going on, i.e., algorithms and algorithms.
Yeah, the two A's, algorithms and algorithms, exactly.
Yeah, it's the end of the year, guys. We're doing what we can here.
Well, no, it's algorithms are just that important. It's fine. I guess, with all that in mind, Alyssa, what are the steps? Like, let's put this into action and really wrap things up for our audience in a clean way.
First thing, create video. It does not matter if it's long form or short form. Start somewhere. Obviously we talk about this all the time. Just the opportunity with video is just enormous. So, like we kind of pointed out, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be sitting in these Zoom calls with Hopefully my background's blurred because it's a little messy back there. But just something low fidelity, nothing crazy. Just try it. If you do the full length video route, awesome. You've got something that you can now turn into short form video so easily. Tools like Headliner are out there that can just help you to create up to 10 clips, caption them all, make them all pretty, optimize for social media and YouTube, all of these wonderful things. But just, step one of 2026, create video and be consistent with it. Doesn't have to be every single time, but stick with the cadence and see what happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all about, good enough is great. You want to make that transition into video, just don't overthink it. Make the transition into video, use a simple ring light and your microphone, and just do what you do best, which is your podcast, and allow the video to kind of work around what you're comfortable doing. It's very easy when you make a transition onto something like video, especially because, like, oh, it's your face on the internet and stuff, right? But it's super easy to get bogged down in perfectionism. And that's just going to keep you from doing the thing or keep you from being happy with the thing. So don't. Just do it. This is the part where we get sued into oblivion by Nike. But yeah, it's okay. I'll buy a pair of Jordans. It'll be fine. But besides that, it's also thinking about why you're making the transition into video and making sure you kind of like focus in on that, right? What is the objective? It is to grow your audience. It's to put your show out in front of new eyeballs. So just focus on that and focus on the content, because when you make that transition, you want to make sure that a new listener understands what your show is about as soon as possible and stuff like that.
Generally, a good tip is understanding. But kind of with that, thinking about, okay, now you're doing video, you're awesome, going with it. Just try and engineer for growth. So we talked about optimize your content. Before you ever click record, start planning things out, thinking, just do like some quick research. There's AI. That's probably another trend. I should have said AI. Dear God, I bet that doesn't go anywhere.
Might be here to stay. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a little, I'm a big fan of it, but that's just me. Anyways, you can use things like AI to help you kind of keyword plan a little bit, maybe optimize your titles, like, and try and think, okay, I need to say predictions for podcasting in 2026, like 4 or 5 times. That might be, something, just food for thought, very specific. Yeah. But just something that you can do. There's also free tools. I use Google AdWords a lot. You don't have to build a Google ad campaign to use this tool. You can fake it.
No, you can just look up how often certain things are Googled, right?
Yeah. There's Google Trends. There's those free tools, they're awesome. You can see kind of the volume, the intent. The competition score is huge with that kind of stuff, just because you're like, oh, okay, like right now, it's kind of the end of 2025. There's not a ton of stuff out there for 2026. So if you're one of the first people that talk about it, hey, guess what? When it starts getting popular, you're going to have some more authority. So you're going to be a little bit higher. So, if you're listening to this podcast, you're like, why are they talking about that? Haha, now you know why. But anyways, so you've got just kind of engineering for growth, whether you're doing audio or video or both. That's one of the things that you can kind of do to help kind of capture your audience and really take advantage of some of those trends that we're seeing for 2026 emerge.
Makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. And then, okay, so like, let's say you're doing all of this and you have a very different goal, which I think the goal we focused on is just traditional listenership, viewership growth. What about the people that are kind of looking for a more monetary return on investment there? What if they're looking to like monetize their show next year? Is there anything that we can offer them that would help?
Yeah, I mean, and this is true for growth as well, but if you are looking to monetize like so many podcasters are, really focus in on building your community first. A lot of people can get deterred or frustrated, especially in podcasting, because you hit that plateau or you're like, oh, I'm not getting that many listeners. But if you have an engaged community, you're off to a much better start. You're able to kind of create those exclusive paid walled content that your most loyal and engaged listeners are honestly likely to buy. So that's kind of one of the easiest ways to help monetize. Of course, there's tools like I think the YouTube Creators Program and Spotify for Creators Program. That sounds right. Okay, I got them right. Sick. So there's all of those types of programs that are naturally available to podcasters. but the scale isn't always there. If you're building that engaged community, that's where you can start to drive some real value for the people that are listening, and then hopefully drive some, cha-ching value for you in the long run.
It's almost like a value for value trade, like, you just bring value to your listenership, and they'll bring the value to you and your bank account.
Exactly. And then with that, kind of having more of a diversified approach. So we've talked about this concept of omni-channel marketing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Algorithms are ever changing and they can be unforgiving at times. That's
Yeah.
kind of true with literally anything in life. If you have kind of a couple of paths that you're going down, chances are that, if one starts to kind of teeter off, one will kind of pick up, and then you'll just kind of go with the ebbs and flows. But having the diversification is going to allow you to have multiple revenue streams in place, or just the opportunity to have multiple revenue streams in place. Especially 2026, we don't, we're not super economist. Yeah, that's the word I'm going for.
Economically sound? I don't know where you're
I don't
going with it.
know. I don't know where I was going with it either. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is we don't really know what 2026 will
Yeah,
hold,
we don't know what the economy is gonna look like in 10
Yeah.
minutes, let alone a month from now. Sure.
Yeah, like, we don't know. So, if you're having that diversification early on, you're going to be a little bit more prepared, kind of regardless of whatever happens, in the future.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you on that. I think another way to put it is that the economy and the world is changing so fast these days that it is just like a smart idea to kind of put your eggs in different baskets, as you were saying. And thanks to a lot of the tools that's making the world go by so fast, you can do it more easily than you could have a year or two ago. You know, you can now on Instagram, people can actually do like paid subscriptions to your page. That's a thing. I think that's also a thing on X. I don't use the app, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you can do that.
Think so. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so many platforms are investing in it, so
Exactly. YouTube has their own version of it with channel memberships, and obviously you have like what's called Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee and all of those apps. So easy to set up, takes like maybe 5 minutes per platform to set up.
and a lot of times it's free too. Like,
Yeah,
you have to have
it's
certain
free
thresholds at
and
times. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So you may as well.
Yeah, why not? $5 is $5.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
almost a
And
whole coffee.
pretty soon it's just going to be like the cup and then the coffee's like another 5, but whatever. It's fine. Anyway, okay, so are there any other thoughts you would like to send us off on other than this pivotal information about coffee?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Okay.
So we talked about, a trend that we're seeing as kind of more people are investing in paid. So if you're thinking about hopping on the paid train, just kind of knowing what the options are out there. There are a lot of options. You can go to the Headliner blog. We're actually doing a whole series right now on kind of paid promotion and what that can look like for podcasts specifically, because it is kind of ambiguous. I mean, it's this thought of media buying, and like I went to school for marketing. I took classes on it, and it's still at times I'm like, now what? So it can really be daunting to kind of start, but really understanding your options ahead of time, and more specifically your goals ahead of time, is going to help you to kind of pick a paid strategy that's going to help to promote your podcast and be a good investment kind of in the long term and the short term. I would expect that we would have some content, if you don't want to read it, that you can listen to in the start of the new year. But I can't confirm nor deny that, as I haven't really written anything for that. But I feel like that would, it's a good one to
Sure.
probably start with.
Wheels are in motion. Let's just leave it
Yes.
at that. So you guys just stay tuned for that, and I'm sure you'll get like a solid 20 minutes from us about it at some point.
Yes. But yeah, in the meantime, just head on over to the blog. We're talking all about it. You can check out if you're like really gung ho, you've got some downtime, or you're just trying to, grow your show passively right now. I would go to Sounds Profitable and check out the Podscape. There's a whole like list of tools and companies out there that can help you with paid growth. Headliner is one of them. We do the web display ads, but if you're like, hey, I really want to get into like Reddit ads or something like that, but you want some more like professional help, or you just want kind of that guiding hand, I would go over to Podscape. There's a bunch of companies there again that can really help you out, that are both pros in the media buying world and the paid podcast promotion world, as well as, hey, they're podcasters too. So they get it, and they're really going to help you to actually make an actionable plan that you can execute and really grow your show.
Yeah, for sure. And also, worth saying, much like with monetization, it's worth, putting your eggs in different baskets. Don't just think you are going to get away with like only Reddit promotion. You're probably going to want to spread out where you promote your show.
Yeah, and again, I'm writing all about this right now, so I could go on a tangent, but I won't. But
Save the
yes,
tangent. Yeah,
definitely.
save it for 2026 when there's just 2% more light in our eyes. What? Who said that? That's crazy. But okay, cool. Thank you so much, Alyssa. A lot of good stuff we reviewed here today, and I'm sure we'll be back in the new year with plenty more to go over. So, thanks to everyone for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.